Hi there, and welcome to the Daily Gardener, an almanac of garden history, literature, and small botanical joys. I'm Jennifer Ebling, and today is February 18th. Gardens are often thought of as private places, personal, quiet, but sometimes a garden is something more, a way of expressing care, a way of holding attention on what cannot speak for itself. Today's stories belong to people who understood that plants can speak for us when words fall short, and that at times we must speak and act on their behalf to ensure that they endure. Here's today's garden history. It was on this day in 1776 that Lady Anne Monson died. Anne lived in a world that did not readily admit women into scientific life. So she entered it sideways, through discipline, fluency, and persistence. She was deeply engaged with the new science of plant classification and played a critical role in bringing it to English gardeners. Working with nurseryman James Lee, she helped translate Carl Linnaeus' work into Introduction to Botany, the book that made Linnaean naming usable beyond Latin scholars. Linnaeus himself admired her fiercely, and in one letter he called her a phoenix among women and the only woman at Flora's court. And she proved it through her work. Anne traveled widely to South Africa and India, collecting specimens and sending them back to England, many of them to Kew. In 1774, while botanizing at the Cape of Good Hope, she worked closely with the Swedish botanist Carl Peter Thunberg, and at the end of their expedition, she gave him a ring, a quiet token of partnership between equals. Her expertise earned her a lasting botanical tribute. The genus Monsonia was named in her honor. Anne's life also carried scandal. After a public divorce, one that required an act of Parliament, she left England for India. There, freed from social judgment, her botanical work flourished. Plants became her authority, her credibility, her way back into intellectual life. And it was on this day in 1822 that Henry Nicholson Ellacombe was born. Henry spent most of his life as the vicar of Bitton in Gloucestershire and the steward of a garden that quietly shaped Victorian taste. At a time when gardens favored rigid displays and short-lived spectacle, Henry believed in something steadier. So he let nature in at the gate. His garden was filled with hardy plants, perennials, trees, and shrubs, chosen for permanence rather than show. He wrote about plants with the attentiveness others reserved for poetry and scripture, especially in his book, The Plant Lore and Garden Craft of Shakespeare, where flowers and herbs carried meaning, not just decoration. When told a plant might take years to bloom, Henry famously replied, "Never mind, there's plenty of time." That sentence holds his entire philosophy. Gardening for Henry was an education in patience and trust. In today's Unearthed Words, we hear from Wallace Stegner, who was born on this day in 1909. Stegner once said, "Every green, natural place we save saves a fragment of our sanity." Stegner understood that landscapes, cultivated or wild, are not luxuries. They are stabilizing forces, places where attention, restraint, and care hold us together. It's time to grow that garden library with today's book, The Bold, Dry Garden, Lessons from the Ruth Bancroft Garden by Johanna Silver. Ruth Bancroft was not trained as a landscape artist. She was a lifelong plant lover who, in her 50s, began collecting cacti and succulents suited to the dry climate of Walnut Creek, California. Her garden, now a public space, challenged the idea that beauty must be thirsty, lush, or English in origin. Ruth made a case for restraint, adaptation, and living honestly within a place. And finally, here's something sweet to ignite the little botanic spark in your heart. It was on this day in 1974 that Julia Butterfly Hill was born. In 1997, at the age of 23, Julia climbed into the canopy of a 1,000-year-old redwood named Luna and stayed. What began as a short protest became a 738-day vigil through storms, isolation, and fear. By refusing to leave, she turned a single tree into a global symbol of care. Sometimes a garden isn't planted, it's stayed with. As we close the show today, remember a translation that opened a door, a lifetime willing to wait, a garden shaped by restraint, and a tree stayed with. None of these acts shout, but each one leaves something standing. Thanks for listening to The Daily Gardener, and remember, for a happy, healthy life, garden every day.